Cybernation Uncensored.
And hello everyone. It is so good to see everybody. I hope that everyone is doing well today. I'm realizing right now that my lights are real aggro. But that being said, I had my sound turned off during the intro, so little by little, making progress. Yes, hello everyone. It is so good to see you. It's it's the end of another month, and I am so excited to be alive. And not only am I excited to be alive, but I come to you with a very incredibly special guest host, and that would be Templeton. Let's see, hang on. Say hello, Templeton. Yeah, he knows. He knows. You know. We all know. We're all in the know together. And yes, wonderful. I am so glad everything looks and sounds good. Um, I'm gonna figure out how to get it to seamlessly integrate from one scene to the next, but that's a problem for later me is what that is. Uh, but yes, I see some wonderful faces here. We've got Stinkfall, we've got Rob, we've got Coldrake, we've got Bronx Mesh. I am so thrilled. I am so thrilled. Also because I have some real wild stories for you tonight. A combination of wild, heart, heart touching. It's gonna touch you in the heart right in there. And some that are just, but we're gonna go over all of them. It's gonna be great. um, and yes, PWB, hello, welcome. And I'll tell you, yeah, no, I will say, as far as Templeton goes, we're trying something out. I have normally done photos with either him or his brother, but tonight's gonna be the first time we've kind of hung out for this long. So what I mean by that is I'm probably gonna get peed on at some point, because that's just how they roll. They don't, they just when they get an urge, they just let her rip. Which I have to say, as I recently, and by recently I mean like 4 days ago, switched to a new medication from an old one. And thing number one, it has been a game changer. It has been a game changer. And that's to say that I was on a non-stimulant for ADHD, and I'm now on my first foray with an actual stimulant, and it is like life changing. Maybe a strong word, but it also may not be a strong word because it's two words. But it's yeah, I'm really yeah, it's something that I'm gonna get in and talk more about later. But yeah, yeah. How that is related to this though, and related to Templeton here is that yo, I have apparently lost all bladder capacity. Like, and I read that this is a side effect that, like, the various different, ADD stimulants make you have to pee more often. But oh my god, I aged like 50 years in my bladder in the past 4 days. So there you have it. There you have it. But that being said, I'm so glad we're here together. um, and yeah, no, and Stink Palm, I do want to say too, like so the whole thing about that is that the medication that I switched from about 4 days ago to get on the one that I'm on now was I think it's like the last line of non-stimulants before you dive in. But I will tell you, I was on that puppy for like 3 months. I want to say 3 4 months, and it had a very negative impact on me. Like it's it got to the point for me, like I realized they're supposed to make you feel energized and focused and such. It put me to sleep. Like it put me to sleep to the level of almost narcolepsy. Like I could not, like in a single day, I couldn't go more than an hour and a half without having to lie down and go to sleep. Even like during classes, when we would have a 10-minute break, I would just like turn the camera off and just lay down on the floor and go to sleep for 10 minutes. Like it was wild. I have never, like I've always dealt with uh a lot of exhaustion and being very tired and stuff, but it has never been that bad before. So even just not feeling that complete body shutdown exhaustion has been amazing, and I have loved it. Yeah, no, I definitely have a phantom bladder now. It's actually doing an out of body experience. I wish I could do an out of body experience. Just send my bladder to the bathroom. Yeah, and Cyclonus, hello, so good to see you. So now that we've discussed my bladder in all its shapes and sizes, um, we're going to get into this because I have a number of stories to share with you tonight. And one of the reasons why I did bring on a professional a professional animal is that we do actually have a number of animal stories. So I'm super stoked. All of y'all who know me know that animals and we are like this. So I'm really stoked. But that being said, we're gonna start with the human animal. Um, and we're only gonna spend a very little time on this first story because I it's not what I thought it was gonna be. Whenever I first looked this story up and found information, almost every article I found had the same headline. And that headline was, and I quote, "Hate your signature? Try plastic surgery for autographs." I wanted it to be plastic surgery for your hands that changes your handwriting. Or they did a study in which like your handwriting changes if you get new hands or something like that. Which is Goldrake. It absolutely is another organ. And I was really hoping that's what it was going to be because plastic surgery is when you get plastic surgery, right? So as it turns out, what the articles, all of them, are actually about is that you can hire you can hire someone to make up a signature for you. Um, which, I mean, like, there are professional calligraphers that you can contact and be like, hey, I want my signature to look so fancy that I can't recreate it with my own hands. And they can do that for you. How one would call that plastic surgery is beyond me because it is not. Nowhere is a knife involved, and I, for one, was disappointed. Yeah, no, it was absolutely a cut and paste situation. So that's all the time I have for this whole, plastic surgery for your autograph or whatever. Like, no hands were switched, not one, and no knives involved. So, um, yeah, absolutely. So, but the next story, as you can guess here, is about the nuggies. That's right. We're looking at some chicken nuggets here, and I'm gonna be very honest with you. I like chicken nuggets. There, I said it. I will. Bullface, hello, welcome. It's good to see you, and you were just in time for the nuggies. Um, so I do like chicken nuggets. I really like. I bite into that puppy, and I know it's not any healthy form of meat. I know this. But if you were wondering, or rather, if you were wanting to just embrace knowing that it's not meat, you now will be able to get plant-based Beyond Meat nuggies, at least in Germany. Um, and oh my gosh, hold on. Wait, Volpace, did you have the non-meat nuggies? Because like the article that I'm looking at right here is saying that it unveiled the plant-based nuggets in Germany. I feel like they had been unveiled in the US too, aside from just whatever regular nuggets are made out of, because I don't know that we can really verify uh, that they're not. It's the kind of thing I don't really want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to see the process. I don't want to how it's made on it. I just want to enjoy them um, in the way that I enjoy like daytime court TV and stuff like that. Oh yes, no. So Volpe's had some real nugs. Very good, very good. But yeah, so these Beyond Meat nuggies are they're going to be rolling out in, I think it says, more than 1,400 restaurants in Germany, and it's also going to start selling the McPlant burger in Germany as well. So there you have it. What that means for us that aren't in Germany, is probably very little, but if they go over well, maybe they'll roll out further, wider, a wider rollout. So yeah, so you know what, I gotta be real with you though. Like I sit here and I look at this picture of nuggets that I put up here, and I'm like, man, I would eat that right now. You know who else would eat them? This guy. I bet, I bet Templeton would love a nuggie. What do you think? Nuggie? Yeah, and also my real question for you, this whole story is actually just to get this real question. For whoever does eat nuggets, what do you put on them? Like, if you're out there just, you know, eating them naked, that's fine. But if you put something on them, what is it you put on them? And is it honey? Because yes, and also it is so good. If you can get a hold of like spicy honey, yes, Bronx Smash knows nuggets with, again, like if you can get a hold of some spicy honey, nuggets with spicy honey. Oh, just delicious, delicious. Um, Yeah. Well, and honestly, the idea behind chicken nuggets now being veggie nuggets, are we just now openly admitting what these have been made out of for a long time? Question mark. I don't know. Like, don't. I'm not, behind the scenes on any major fast food chains or anything like that. But oh yes, oh absolutely, honey mustard. Honey mustard is another delightful, delightful topping for the nuggets. So yeah. Don't worry. If y'all are curious, I will keep you apprised on the trajectory of the veggie nuggies as they go. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with them. So, so next up, we've got something appropriate for February because February, Valentine's Day. We got a little love going on here. Um, so uh, as it happens, and this article I saw came out to yesterday. So Russian President Vladimir Putin has bestowed a state decoration on Steven Seagal, who, for anyone who doesn't know, is an American action movie actor, who apparently, and I did not know this, also does hold Russian citizenship. So I didn't know that, but here we go. Um, but yeah, so Seagal, he was bestowed with a state decoration, and it is the Order of Friendship. He now has the Order of Friendship with Putin. So the two of them are besties, BFFs. Um, I don't know if the Order of Friendship also comes with like a standing coffee date every week or like, you know, a private phone line where they can call each other late at night and talk about, the hot goss, spill the tea, as it were. Um, but yeah, so it at the very least, it knowing that Steven Seagal has Russian citizenship, I guess, kind of makes this make a little bit more sense, but I don't know that it really does to me. But I will say, all of the pictures I looked up, because I was trying to find an old school picture of Steven Seagal to include in here, and I will tell you, all of the pictures of him from current times, the Steven Seagal of today, he looks like, okay, so I don't know how many people have seen Flash Gordon, 1980s film, amazing. I would definitely recommend it to everyone. Like it's amazing in the way that like a 1980 sci-fi adventure is gonna be, right? But it's definitely worth a watch. And it does feature Brian Blessed, who anytime you get a movie with that man in it, absolutely worth the watch. And he also has an amazing line. You'll know it when it happens, but but no. So Steven Seagal isn't looking like Brian Blessed. I brought it up because Steven Seagal to me, like all of the now pictures of Steven Seagal, remind me of like kind of a chunky version of Ming the Merciless. If anyone remember, or even just Google it, like Ming the Merciless, um, and modern Steven Seagal. um, is pretty much exactly what I thought of when I saw him. It was weird. Even including like there's including some outfits he had. He has like um there's one where he has this like bright red, almost like Chinese imperial style top on. And I was like, what is happening? What am I saying right now? But yeah, the other main thing to know about this, as Cragor springs up, which is a very important note, is that Queen did do the theme song for Flash. Whoa! And if I do not make that my ringtone as soon as I get out of streaming tonight, I will have failed in my life. So just know that that's also going to happen. But yeah, so Steven Seagal, Steven Seagal, Putin, besties, best friends, hanging out, just doing just best friend things. So let's get those faces out of here. Let's get those out of here. So the next story I have for you tonight involves another president of a different location, and this is about the Mexican president, um, and this is an amazing story in a lot of ways. So so Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador is the president of Mexico, and this individual posted on Instagram a picture that one might expect to find on like when you're watching a YouTube video of kids caught this video, true video, late at night. What could it be? Top 10 creepy things to happen in a tree. So get ready, because I'm gonna go ahead and show you what the picture was, and because I have a copy of the picture that was posted. So get ready. Here we go. So what the president had to say about this was that it is a basically a mythological woodland spirit, which is similar to that of an elf, um, but it's more of a uh, kind of indigenous version of an elf, things like that. But this is the photo. This is the photo. And there's a couple things that I take from this. There's one main thing that I take from this. Sir, you got someone wearing a real cheap wig up in your tree. You should probably call somebody about that. Uh, now, granted, the eyes, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't like anything people shaped with glowing eyes. I'm not a huge fan of. Um, it's kind of a potato quality picture, kind of. So it's really hard to tell a lot of the details about what's going on here. I definitely see a person-like figure. I see this white hair. My guess is synthetic based on just the way it lies, but the glowing eyes, in my opinion, um, I feel like it's very possible that that could be, just from like a camera flash. I'm assuming a camera flash happened here, or something like that. Like it's unsettling. Honestly, the part of it for me that I feel like is the least unsettling is the hair, because that hair just does not look right to me. And by not right, I don't mean like it's a mystical elf salonist, or anything like that. It's more like it doesn't look right, like it doesn't look like any sort of hair on a biological being that exists in space and time. Yeah, no. So it could definitely be night vision, and that would Bronx Bash brings up a good point. It could be night vision, and that would at least and eyes are going to be more prone to glow in night vision, I feel like. And yeah, no. Cold Drake mentions has a full face mask from the Green Man with glowing LED eyes. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like well, in my so before I say that, my other question for this also would be, I would really like more context in terms of, is this a large tree? Is it a small tree? Is this just like a bush out in the front yard? So, like, how big is this figure that we're looking at here? Are we talking like Templeton sized, or are we talking like 8'2"? Because that's going to make a really big difference in my perception of what I'm seeing here. Um, yeah, I would love to know anyone's theories. If you want to share them in chat, or if you're watching this VOD, if you want to share them in comments and such, I'd love to know what you think. I think it's someone just sitting in a tree being creeping, a creeper, if you will. Um, Now, the other thing about that I have a little bit of confusion about is that, like, if the president of Mexico is taking this picture, it's likely near somewhere where the president of Mexico would be. And I feel like, at least if you were to try this sort of thing in the US, like just pop up into a tree naked with a white wig on, out in the front lawn of the White House, I feel like you would not be long for this earth. So, I don't know how it is in Mexico with it, but I feel like that would be a real bold move. Yeah, and I do feel Craighorst brings up it could be a pet monkey in an outfit. And there was something kind of monkey-like about it. I don't know. I would need a little bit more than this, but it is an unsettling picture. To be fair, if I saw it out in my yard, you would see my spirit leave my body because I'm not ready to deal with all that. Either that or just go out in the yard with a squirt bottle. Just, hey, get out of my tree. You know. Um, yeah. So I've got questions, none of which are going to be answered, and I'm trying to make peace with that. But it's an interesting picture, nonetheless. If there were to be more of this sort to be revealed, maybe I would have a different opinion. But my opinion of it is not super strong as it stands. So next up, housing. Y'all know about houses. A structure, people live there. Sometimes you rent, sometimes you own. Sometimes, as it turns out, and apparently, it's a little more common than I would have initially thought, having only heard it for the first time when I found this story, that apparently there is a fraud that is sometimes committed where people might sell a house that they don't own. And so the story that I found about this is that there's a couple in Toronto who they were working abroad. I don't know if they both had jobs in the same place or just one had a job working abroad and the other was just like, yo, cool, I'll go. But either way, they were both abroad working. It was like an extended away from home situation. But they owned a house in Toronto. Um, and what had happened, you see, is that the gal logged to pay an online bill, like most of us do every month. And when she did, she noticed that there was no more mortgage to be paid. Um, and while that could be a very, in some ways, exciting thing to find out, it's probably not. um, And yeah, no, so Bronx Smash brings up apparently this was something going on in '08, which I just didn't know about. No, I didn't know about this at all. But yeah, so what ended up happening was that they did some more digging, and they eventually came back home and they went to their front door, and a stranger opened the front door, and a stranger who just so happened to have a title with this stranger's name on it. Um, so yeah, they're going through the process right now of figuring out how to fix it, I guess. I don't, I mean, like, clearly somebody, if they're in the process, if they went through buying, like, at the point somebody's living there, they already put a down payment on, like, money has gone places, so I'm not really sure what the process is from there. Um, but oh my gosh, yeah. So I will say, PWB brings up that Brooklyn Bridge and the Eiffel Tower were sold multiple times by scammers, and I do feel like I'd heard about that. I feel like, well, so at this point in time where people are kind of like, hey, we all know what the Eiffel Tower is. At this point, I feel like it would be harder to try and sell. Like, just walk up to someone and be like, yeah, I own the Eiffel Tower. That's totally for me to sell. Back in the days when it first was there, yeah, I could see that possibly happening a little more. Right now, I feel like if somebody walks up to you and you accept buying the Eiffel Tower from them, maybe you just shouldn't. I don't know. But yeah, and that's the thing too with the story is that like any way that you slice it, like someone somewhere, likely someone's, is going to be out money, a home, just a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's something I wanted to share too, just because again, like everyone else is clearly up on the T for houses and such, but I did not actually know about this being a thing. So just be aware, be real aware. Either A, if you're going to be buying something, or B, if you're just existing in space. So, and Raven, hello, welcome. It is wonderful to see you. Um, Oh my gosh, yeah. So, and the thing too is like, it's yeah. Volpace does bring up an interesting point about sovereign citizens, which I actually didn't really know too much about either until I started watching a lot more recent court shows. Because apparently that's become a lot more of a common thing, I guess. But yeah, I do know that there becomes a big issue if you like tenant law can get a bit hairy too. Like somebody, if they, I believe, if someone receives mail somewhere, then they are considered to be a resident, and then you cannot just make them leave. Which I believe includes if someone just like comes in and just starts staying there. Like you don't necessarily have to have something signed in order for somebody to be seen as a resident. So that's something to be aware of too. Yeah. Oh my gosh! PWB, congratulations on the new house. Especially after having lived at the previous spot for 25 years. That's fantastic. I hope the new place is amazing and I hope that you actually have it. I don't be worried. I think everything's fine. But yeah. Yeah. Houses, scary. So moving on. Oh yes, as I change this over, trigger warning, this person isn't wearing pants. You can't see anything. So anyway, so this is an actual news story. I'm not just showing some stuff here. So this individual's name is Alejandro Colomar, and as you can see, he is on a bicycle without pants and without other things. And apparently, this picture takes place in his vegetable garden. Um, And he's allowed to do that. You know why? Because the Spanish High Court has ruled in favor of allowing him to continue walking around his village naked, as apparently he has been doing since 2020. So the ruling came down on February 3rd. But yeah, it was ruled that our friend Alejandro here is allowed to be nude as much as he wants. So good for you. Good for you for taking your rights for the right. Yeah. So moving on. And don't be fooled here. This next this next story, whilst the individual involved may look more neatly put together, may look more clothed, and he is. This is not a better story. uh, Weird it is, but I apologize beforehand. So this is German ballet director Marco um, Goki. Goki. Goeckee. I am likely pronouncing that incorrectly, so I apologize. But yes, this is a German ballet director, Marco Goecki, and so apparently those and who knows, maybe he would have done things differently had those plant-based nuggies been released thus far. But this individual has been fired from the Hanover Opera House. Um, and for any reason that you have ever experienced being fired in your history, or that you've had a coworker fired, or that you've been fired, is probably not this one. So it was over the weekend when the event took place. So there's a ballet that went on. It was called Faith, Love, and Hope. Um, and at this performance was a journalist who was an art critic of sorts, a dance critic, art dance critic, performance critic. But there's journalists there who apparently had some negative things to say. Um, and what this individual did was to take he pulls out a bag, you see, and in this bag was dog poo, and he takes it with his hand and he just right on her face, right on this journalist's face. So that is why he was fired. Now we do know that apparently the doggy poo came from his often present pet, a dachshund named Gustav. So we at least know where it came from. And apparently, this individual, the former German ballet director, had accused this journalist of writing, quote, often nasty reviews, and then also said, quote, I apologize for the fact that I finally blew my top, but I also ask for a certain understanding, at least for the reasons why this happened. And just in case we missed that, I ask also for a certain understanding, at least for the reasons why this happened. Sir, I don't know if there are any justification. Like the amount, don't get me wrong, like when I take Hige, my dog, out on a walk and he makes a poo in the yards, or like along the little grassy thing next to the sidewalk, like I will have a bag and I will clean it up, and then I will take that bag and I'll tie it, and I will put that bag into the trash. Into the trash where I never have to look at it or encounter it again. Um, Never once has it occurred to me. And listen, I have been angry before. I have been angry at people. I have been grumpy. I have been frustrated. Never once has it occurred to me to take our dog's poop, or anyone else's, any other pet, mine, anything. Like, it has never once occurred to me to introduce that to someone's face. Not once. So I think, from my understanding, I believe the gentleman was immediately fired, which is a good thing. But yeah, no, Coldrake, I completely agree. Absolute BS apology. And in a way, I feel like the apology just kind of makes it worse. It makes it worse. Anyway, let's get that guy's poo face out of here. Uh, for some brighter news, we have here the wonderful news that Dennis the Menace has been found. And you may wonder, Dennis the Menace, where were you? Well, that is what the people around Monterey, a park in Monterey, California, wanted to know as well, because the 3 foot tall, or 1 meter, statue had been taken, just taken. And apparently this is not the first time Dennis the Menace has been nabbed. But most recently, apparently they found the statue and it was submerged in a nearby lake to where Dennis lived, I guess. So he's back. He's back and just hanging out, doing all the things that a Dennis the Menace might do. Um, but yeah, so yeah, this he's been found. Yay! So that's a little bit of good news. Strange, but good. So let's see. Next up, so this is a short but incredibly interesting story that I could not go without sharing. So this happened earlier this month. The article was published on February 3rd. So apparently, a man, and this starts off like any regular bar joke, kind of. But a man walks into a Southern California police station, and he left some items, including a human jawbone, and then left. Walked in, left the jawbone and a couple other things, and left. Uh, so the other things, in case anyone is curious, happen to be animal remains, which normally I'm for. I keep a number of bones and skulls and things like that. But the sense that I get from the telling of this, where somebody walks in and just drops off some animal remains and a human jawbone, I get this, like, the vibe I have in my brain is that it's like side of the road level animal remains. But yeah, so they didn't the authorities were not completely sure what everything was, but apparently the coroner's office did determine that one of the bones was in fact a human jawbone. Apparently, a surveillance photo of a bearded man has been released showing, the droppee. Um, but yeah, there's nobody really knows who it is or why this happened or anything like that. So, like, my guess here is that it's probably not it's probably not as um nefarious as it might seem. Like, my guess is that it's probably just found stuff. But it is weird. It is weird nonetheless. So take from that what you will. Yeah, yeah. So our next story, now, now, from here on in, it's all animals. So brace yourselves, I am excited. So this next story is about sheep, 7 sheep in particular. So apparently, there were 7 sheep that escaped from a slaughterhouse, basically, a sheep slaughterhouse. And they just, I don't know if they just like donned hats and walked out, or they like spoon tunneled through the floor. Um, but I do here have a little bit of a video. So let's see these sheep in action.
Not gonna get out that way. I hope that one stays back there. Got it? Come on, buddy. We're only trying to help you.
Only trying to help. Only trying to help. Come on now. Almost, almost. Yeah, so these sheep, these runaway sheep, yeah, and that was the last time the officer was seen alive. No, and it's not. These are not small sheep. They escaped from a slaughterhouse, but apparently, and this ends up being a happy story because apparently the once they were apprehended, which two of the sheep were just put in the back of a police car. Like I don't know if they were handcuffed, but they were put in the back of a police car. Um, but they did not want to give them back to the slaughterhouse, so instead they wanted to give them a second sheep chance. So a farm in Sussex County apparently agreed to take them in, um, and a worker at Skylands Animal Sanctuary and Rescue told these news people that they'll be quarantined. The vet will come and check on them. He'll give them the okay, give them anything they need, vaccinations, blah, blah, blah. And then they will join the other 43 sheep with their own nice big barn. So there you have it. Yeah, these sheep made a getaway and ended up being able to live out their sheepy lives. So I think that's a nice yeah, no, absolutely. They were absolutely rewarded for the Great Escape. But the other sheep back at the slaughterhouse don't know that, so I guess that works out. I'm not really sure. But either way, sheep on the loose, no longer on the loose, now at a farm. Good for them. Good on them. Um, yeah, they may PW they may have heard about a better life on the outside. Um, so next up, speaking of escapees, um, this I was actually excited to share because this happened in St. Louis, which is where I live. Which, by the way, if anyone ever makes their way through St. Louis, amazing zoo. The zoo here is amazing. It is free. It's definitely worth checking out. Um, but yeah, so this is an actual photo of the bear in question. This is Ben, who is 4 years old. Um, so and I like also this article felt the need to point out that Ben was born in New York. He Ben is a big city bear. Um, so Ben, uh, there is an exhibit at the zoo enclosure that's called the River's Edge, in which the entire it's set up to where you walk kind of down along this path that winds through, and then the enclosures are on either side, and they're very spacious. They're made to look very natural, lots of plants and things, and a lot of area to roam around. So that's where Ben was living, and what ended up happening is that Ben quote meddled with the steel mesh in just the right spot of the outdoor habitat, causing a cable to give way, which then allowed him to work himself out. Um, so you know, uh also, oh, I'm sorry, hang on. That was the first time Ben escaped. Yes, because after that happened, the zoo workers made the habitat even more secure by adding stainless steel cargo clips rated at 450 pounds tensile strength, etc. Um, but then on Thursday, Ben crawled through a hole in the mesh fencing where it is attached to the supports, which I'm guessing seemed like it would be too small for Ben to get through, but apparently it was not. But then apparently this happened during zoo functioning hours. So at this point, visitors were hustled to safety in quote various indoor facilities as workers scoured the grounds to find Ben, who went missing around 1 p.m. 50 minutes later, thereabouts, he was spotted about 100 feet from the from the enclosure, and then he was shot with a tranquilizer dart. Um, and it's the second they say it's the second time in the history of having that particular habitat that there has been an escape, both apparently by Ben. So yeah. But yeah, so Ben is apparently an Andean bear. Um, I don't really know much about them, but apparently they are also known as spectacled bears because of they have unique individualized markings that can sometimes resemble eyeglasses. So take from that what you will. But yeah, I'm very curious to know exactly how Ben is going to escape the next time because I do not believe this is the end for Ben. Um, I believe Ben will get out again. Ben has stuff to do. Ben is a busy bear. Yeah, he would have made it out if not for those pesky kids. So yeah, I do. I feel like Ben's gonna make it out again. Um, so moving along now, I do want to say there is a slight trigger warning on this next picture. It does involve animals, and it's not nothing bad about animals, but it is going to be a spider. A pretty spider, but a spider nonetheless, so be warned. Now, personally, I do have a tarantula. I think they are lovely. This particular image that I found, I think, is also a gorgeous specimen, very colorful, very pretty. This is not a picture of the spiders in question, uh, but But what happened, you see, was that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services confiscated 169 tarantulas at the LA airport, I believe it was. Um, and the so spiders, when they are babies, are called slings. And they're very small. I mean, spiders start very small as so many things do. But so they found 169 of these little baby spider slings that were about yay in size, just really small, and they were all in these glass vials. So that's how they were being illegally transported. They were not domestically bred spiders. I don't know particularly what variety of tarantula they were, but they were confiscated. And it happens that apparently these 169 tarantulas have been given to the Iowa State University. So apparently, yeah, I think the biggest of these tarantulas were no bigger than a fingernail, so they were all very small. But yeah, they arrived to the Iowa State University on Valentine's Day, and what is going to slash did happen with them is that 10 of the tarantulas went to a 17-acre property called the Ryman Gardens. And I imagine they're just going to hang out and do hashtag just spider things. And then the rest of them are going to be raised in the insect zoo until they get bigger. And this person who is the education program coordinator, Ginny Mitchell, for the insect zoo, which is a place I want to visit, says that she hopes to keep half the tarantulas at Iowa State, where they will join the other venomous species of spiders and scorpions as permanent zoo residents. And then the other half of the spiders will be offered to other zoos when they are big enough. Yeah, so happy ending for these tarantulas as well. And yeah, no, Coldrake, there are a lot of tarantulas. I can only guess that these were very like pretty or special or rare tarantulas. Kind of like the one depicted, maybe. Um, but oh no, PWB shares a story of your brother who had stories about tourists stealing wild cacti to discover them filled with spiders. That would qualify as a bad surprise. I would hate that. Oh no. Um, oh no. uh, I love it. And also, PW also says one tarantula went to Yale and is now and now sits on the judges bench in New York, which would be an amazing. Just this is a show that I would watch. It's like Night Court but with spiders. And yeah, no, Bronx Smash does bring up what. Imagine if they were brought in like a lot of drugs get smuggled. I mean, they were very small and in a lot of. But they were glass vials though. Could you imagine like one bad fart and you've got like broken glass and 169 spiders up your butt. So I am envisioning that's probably not what happened. Yeah, but that everything about that makes me I am only glad to hear that the spiders are now living happy and free. Well, not free, but happy and contained in a spider-friendly zone. um, oh my gosh, wait, so Bronx Smash shares that you had one, I'm assuming tarantula, not just a regular spider, that walked across the stove and you kept it for many years. Was it just like a house friend or did you actually put it in a containment? And I've got to say though, PWB asks, how much does a spider mule make? Yo, I will tell you, like fancy tarantulas and such go for, I mean, at least at the exotic pet store near me, like the nicer ones go for upwards of $150 a piece. And like especially if you breed them to, and you know they have tons of babies, like they they are valuable, you know. So I apparently it's worth it, but yeah, so moving along, this next one I'm pretty stoked about. So many of you may have heard of Fashion Week. So I have never once in my life watched Fashion Week, and I am now a little disappointed that I did not this year because there's a New York fashion designer called Mark Bauer, who had for his particular section of the show. I don't really know. I don't watch it. I don't know how they chunk things out. But so uh, Mark Bauer says, quote, "Animals are my passion, and I have been at the forefront of fighting for cruelty-free fashion since the 1980s." And so the way that this particular portion of the show started is that he came out alongside a model and a dog. So the designer is actually the one holding the sign. Um, and they came out with a dog on a leash who was also wearing silver to match up, and had a sign that says "Adopt, don't shop." And essentially, this was part of Elysian Impact's inaugural Catwalk Fur Baby, which is a runway show, and the whole thing raises funds for Bissell Pet Foundation. Um, yeah, so this whole thing was purposefully to like raise funds and like get across the idea of, you know, adopt pets, and you know, don't adopt them before going to like a pet store and stuff like that. Also, Val, hello, so good to see you. And yes, it was so wonderful to play Shadows of Esteran with you last night. Amazing. And also, every time your costume is on point. It is so cool. I love it. And I love your persona for the character. So, yes, for anyone who has not jumped in, the last Monday of every month, right here, not right now, but the last Monday, we play Shadows of Esteran with a killer cast. It is amazing. So you should definitely come back for that. But yeah, so apparently a lot of fashion brands currently have stopped using fur. But there's, you know, there's still more we can all do to help with the animals. And so that was kind of the idea behind this portion of the event. And I do have here couple little example, like who would I be? Who would I be to share this story with you and not share just a little bit of what happened on the runway? So here we have this dog wearing, and I wish I had a side view of this pupper, but like there's some sort of nice silver motif going on here. That's pretty nice. And then we've got this little friend with a little looks like there's a little ruffle back there. And I do have to say too, these can't actually pearls, but these drop earrings are wild. And Stormbender, hello, and welcome. So good to see you. So we've got this. And this gal looks thrilled. Next up, this dog. This dog and its face. Oh my word. This, it's a very cute dog, but this is the grumpiest looking dog I have ever seen in all of my days. Um, oh no, oh no. Referring to the earlier story, a German rebuttal. I don't want to know about any butts where that guy's concerned. That's a big thumbs down from me. um, let's see, and then we've got this is a very cute pup. And look at this outfit. Look at this outfit. It has a little vest. Look at that. Look at that little vest, a little collar on there. I will say I have gotten my cats to wear sweaters before. Normally they work their way out of them pretty quick. They just step out. They just walk right out. But it's nice while it lasts. And then the last picture I have here. Oh nope, that was the last one. Oh, we're on the next story. Surprise. So yes, Doggy Fashion Week. But yeah, so this next one, unfortunately, is a little bit slight bummer. So this is about there was an alligator that was discovered in a New York City park recently. We've all heard that like on occasion it has actually been true where people will have a pet that and not even just alligators necessarily. This has happened a lot with snakes in Florida and stuff like that, where somebody will have a pet and then either it outgrows their capacity or they just didn't think about it and they just let it go. They just put it outside to fend for itself. And that's never the right thing to do. Don't do that. But yeah, my guess would be that's probably what happened with this one. But this was a 4-foot female alligator who was rescued from a lake in Brooklyn's Prospect Park on the 19th of February. And unfortunately, this is not a picture of the alligator in question. Unfortunately, this is. So the alligator was named Godzilla because, again, 4 feet. She's not tiny, but she was actually extremely emaciated when they found her. She weighed about 15 pounds, which is a little less than half the weight of what an alligator of her size should be. So she got a radiograph from the Bronx Zoo, where she is receiving treatment because they found a 4-inch wide bathtub stopper inside of her. Yeah, so she got. It's. I don't know that it's necessarily clear how the bathtub stopper got in there. I'm guessing maybe she ate it accidentally, obviously. But unfortunately, PWB does say that COVID really did cause the displacement of many renters. Yeah, no, she definitely couldn't stay in her brownstone anymore. But yeah, so it's unfortunate because apparently at this point Godzilla is being fed through a tube with nutrients, vitamins, antibiotics, medication, stuff like that because she's too weak and skinny right now to actually eat. And apparently she is too weak at this point for them to actually safely remove the bathtub plug. So as it stands right now, unless they can get her health back up with the tube feeding and stuff, the outlook is not good. So hopefully, wishing many healthy recoveries to Godzilla. But yeah, this is and I think that it's said well here that the tragedy of the situation is, and this is a quote from the article, is a reminder that wild animals do not make good pets, and responsible pet ownership means making choices that will not negatively impact an individual animal or the environment, which means do not feed your animals bathtub stoppers. But more than likely, for most of us, don't get an alligator. It's just not. It's not a good plan. It's not the right choice. you know. Um, but fortunately, fortunately, I do have some happier stories to make up for this one. We just have a couple more. I know we are essentially at time, but I just want to get through these last ones because apparently there were so many animal stories this month and I couldn't say no to them. Because how do you say no to a face like this? Look at it. This is a baby Chinese pangolin, and it is the first one to be born at a European zoo. How about that? This is at the Prague Zoo, and the pangolin baby is critically well, not just this baby. Her entire species is critically endangered. But this is the first one again to be born in captivity in Europe, and yeah, her name is apparently Little Cone because she resembles a spruce pine cone. Or not a spruce cone, rather. I guess a pine cone is from pines. A spruce cone. And apparently, after some initial troubles, she is doing well. And so apparently this in this picture right here, uh, Little Cone is actually not riding a Shapei dog, but it is a walrus plush that this tiny animal is attached to. Um, but yeah, so apparently for the first few days after she was born, which was the 2nd of February this month, she was losing weight, so they were kind of worried. But as it happens, her mother didn't have enough milk. So what they did was they had some consultations with experts from Taiwan, and they were able to feed her uh, cat milk, basically. And then they were able to get the mother to produce more milk. And so everyone involved is now apparently extremely optimistic. But yeah, so Little Cone weighed 135 grams when she was born, which is slightly less than a cricket ball, and apparently adults can reach around 7 kilograms. So yeah, so she's just hanging out with a tiny little stuffed walrus there, but she's real cute, so I'm hoping for the best for her. And if you ever want to just take a little break and see something that is just delightful, look up pangolins walking around because they walk around like little nervous guys with their hands all up like this. They're fantastic. They're awesome. So next up, we have here's another situation that is the danger of having pets that you really shouldn't. So apparently in Albuquerque, and this was actually transpired last month, but the finale of this story happened this month. In Albuquerque, a Bengal tiger cub was found in a dog kennel. Um, yeah, so apparently Albuquerque police officers served search warrants, and this was on January 10th, on 2 residences in response to tips that a tiger was being illegally held in one of them. And this is the events that transpired in finding the tiger is not great. Quote, authorities spotted a blood trail and followed it to an unlocked trailer, and that's where the tiger was found. So, yeah, if it was any uncertainty or any question, New Mexico bans people from keeping tigers. Not allowed. I'm pretty sure that's probably the case where I live too. Um, but so uh, I think it seems like initially a biopark zoo is where they were going to have the tiger go, but apparently the officials said the cub could not stay with them because he was too quote people oriented, and he's a tiger. He'll get to about 400 pounds. Yeah, so the zoo worked with the New Mexico Police Department of Game and Fish to find the tiger a permanent home. And he's not able to be a part of a breeding program because apparently they don't know his lineage, which matters when it comes to breeding animals like this. So, happily, however, he has found a new home in Colorado. He's been transferred to the Wild Animal Sanctuary in Keensburg, Colorado. So, a happy ending for this guy. Yeah, no. And Volpe's, no. Tigers, like, it's cool to see them. Not in my house. Well, and to be fair, like, I remember there's Shinobi, thank you for the follow. But yeah, so apparently, my husband, when he was younger, and him and his siblings lived back at home with their parents, they had a friend who worked slash ran this this tiger rescue, and there is actually in Missouri there is a known I think it's just a tiger sanctuary. But yeah, there was one of the babies they actually brought, so that to check out. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, no, Coldrake, like 100% agree. Wild animals are wild. And the thing is too, like even domesticated animals, like as much as I love my cats, as much as I love the dog, as much as I love Templeton and all the others, like an animal's an animal. If they get startled, they can bite, they can run away, like they can, you know, it and because I've had people ask me before, if I have any of my pets with me, like, oh, do they bite? And I'm like, well, anything with a mouth can bite, and I've been pretty much bitten by almost everyone in the household, and not necessarily maliciously, but just because maybe somebody's not feeling well or something like that. Like, it's something to always bear in mind, like no matter how domesticated something is, like anything can happen, so it's always important to be really aware of what you're working with, and also just very careful, very deliberate. uh, so so moving on, this next story I've got for you, and I do have another video for this one. We got a turtle, and so this is a story that involves the Mississippi Lego Club. So yeah, let me take a look. Hopefully this actually have some, hopefully you'll be able to hear the sounds on it. So. Right, little man. Wait 1 second. One more thing.
I'm mad at you.
Oh, come on, Rick.
It actually looks like he has legs now. There's more stuff.
All right, are you ready to try this?
There's more legs. Okay. Come on, buddy. Oh. Sorry, but I think he wants to cry.
Let's see, River.
It'll move your feet.
So what happened here? This is a Mississippi box turtle that lost its back legs. So let me turn this down a bit because it's essentially just the sounds of people talking. But yeah, so this is a Mississippi box turtle, lost its back legs. The turtle, which was named Lieutenant Dan, was brought to the Central Mississippi Turtle Rescue. And sadly, the turtle lost its back legs due to being hit by a car. But what ended up happening is that the Mississippi Lego Club built some wheels for this turtle, and this is the first time with the turtle trying out the wheels. And yeah, there you go. Look at him, there he goes. And I have seen instances in videos before of like, sometimes I've seen just a wheel situation that'll actually be glued to the bottom of a shell. But yeah, no, and they have things like this, Coldrake, as you bring up, for dogs that have been paralyzed. I've seen some for rabbits that have been paralyzed as well. Yeah, so just a real quick one, but I thought that was nice. But yeah, of course it was named Lieutenant Dan. But yeah, so here he goes, wheeling off into a brighter future with his little Lego wheels. But yeah, so next up, because I only have a couple more to go, and we're already over time. So next up, this was February 16th, and this is in Alaska. I don't know if that makes it make more sense, but what ended up happening is a police officer in Alaska was doing just police officer things and saw a wandering pig that, quote, looked cold. So he put the pig in the back of the patrol cruiser. Yeah, that's what ended up happening. So, and apparently, Fairview, they had gotten a call from a concerned citizen that was regarding this pig that, again, quote, looked cold. So they picked up the pig, and apparently they were able to identify the owners of the pig and return the pig home. The best part about this, though, is that the pig's name is Elvis Pigsley. So Elvis Pigsley was out in the cold, got returned home. I guess he made a great escape. But yeah, home safe. And speaking of things that are home safe, this cat is named Lucky. And that makes a lot of sense because it was found as a stray in Kansas. And the stray ended up getting picked up, and the resident who found Lucky took them. I don't know what Lucky is, but they took Lucky to probably a vet or something like that, just to get run the microchip thing. And it revealed that this cat, A, its name was Lucky, but B, Lucky belonged to a family in Miami, Florida, and had been missing for 2 years. So the animal control officer was able to contact the owner in Miami, and currently there is efforts being made to reunite them, like whether or not the cat's can be shipped or anything like that. But yeah, police say they do not know how Lucky made the 1,400-mile journey from Miami to Prairie Village, but this gives big homeward bound vibes. Except the cat was leaving as opposed to coming back. So either way, it seems like they're going to be reunited. So if I see anything else on that, I'll share it. But I thought that was sweet. That was nice because I never, unfortunately, like when pets go missing, especially in like city areas or anything like that. Well, not especially. Also in wilderness areas because there's a lot of critters out there. Like I feel like there's not really a lot of expectation for a long lifespan. But yeah, 2 years and 1,400 miles. So I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, no, Chris P. Bacon is an amazing pig name. And I do know the video to which that refers. So the last story I have for you today, we're circling back. We're circling back onto something that I brought to your attention before because it has finally happened. On February 9th, this mouse, whose name is Pat, named for Sir Patrick Stewart, has been officially named the world's oldest mouse, winning a Guinness World Record record. And this is the mouse that I showed everyone before. He was close. He was close, but he has now officially won the title of oldest mouse in the world. He is a Pacific pocket mouse, again, named Pat after Patrick Stewart. And this mouse is the ripe age of 9 years old and 209 days. So he was born at San Diego Zoo Safari Park on July 14th, which I said it the first time I brought this up, and I say it again. In July, we are going to be having a party because that is when Pat will have made 10 years old, which is unheard of for a mouse. Unheard of. And also, so this, the breed of this mouse, again, apparently it's called Pacific Pocket Mouse, which, listen, again, leave the wilderness in the wild, but with a name like Pocket Mouse, it feels like it wants to be in my pocket. But yeah, so apparently this is a breed of mouse that was actually thought to be extinct for 20 years until they found these just small isolated populations in Dana Point in Orange County. But it's still endangered. But yeah, there was a breeding program to help save the mouse from extinction. And that is from where this Pat arrives to us. But yes, I definitely had to share that Pat has officially been named the world's oldest mouse. So I have to give a nice clap for that. Oh no, Coldrake says Pacific Pocket Mouse, the things he's seen over the decade. Yeah. But he's very cute. And this is actually a picture of Pat himself. And we can see how adorable he is. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but it looks like he's all head. He's a head with a tail attached. He is very cute. Yes, so that all being said, that is what I have for you this month. We went a little bit over, but there were so many animal stories that I could not leave any of them out. But I have to say, thank you so much for joining me. And thanks to Templeton, who has been very patient and very sweet this entire time. And Templeton also wants to thank you for joining us as always on the last Tuesday night of the month right here. I will be bringing you all of the weirdest and strangest and cutest things from the month. And yeah, if you want to know anything else about me, I am Rockette Fox, your second favorite person. You can find me in all the places. Look up Rockette Fox, and there I will be. But yeah, no, I've got to say, Templeton, this is the longest that Templeton has been a shoulder friend, and he did amazing. Look at him. Look at him working the camera. He's born for it, born for the spotlight. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Make sure to tune back in. There is stuff going on all of the time, different shows pretty much every day, sometimes twice a day, and always playing replays and things like that so you can catch up on stuff that you have not been able to see live. And yeah, all of that to be said, thank you so much again for joining me. And yes, Cragsaurus, thank you so much. I will give the cheese. I will give the cheese. And yeah, please, please make sure to take care of yourself. Do something nice. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, afternoon, morning, wherever it is you may be, or whenever you're catching this. And take care of yourself. Do something nice for yourself. And if you have it in you, do something nice for someone else. And I, as always, look forward to seeing you next time.